Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast, where we provide you with your weekly diagnosis of everything fantasy football. Whether it's season-long leagues, dynasty, DFS, or sometimes even IDP, we got you covered all year long. Let's do it. Let's get to it. Welcome into the Fantasy Football Diagnostics Podcast. It is Monday, October 16th, and I'm your host, Jon Jeune. Of course, without a doubt, I got to have my guy in here with me, Greg Pennamon. Greg, how you feeling on this Monday afternoon?
Doing all right, man. Got Monday Night Football tonight. Got a good one. Hopefully, this is probably the best game of the slate. That Chargers Cowboys game going back and forth with these two offenses should be a good one for sure.
Yeah, definitely, man, and hopefully it will. I'm not really sure what's gonna happen tonight, man, with this game, considering
Yeah,
how weak this weird we just experienced was. We had the two undefeated teams, the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles, go down in like last minute fashion in both games.
hmm
We had the Giants, go toe to toe with the Bills last night, and if not for NFL officiating, would have won the game. In my opinion, I mean, they should have won the game. Yeah, that was wild. What'd you think of that call at the end of the game, Greg? First, the defensive holding that turned pass interference that was never actually called on the last play, Teron Johnson versus Darren Waller, and then B, to make that call in the first place, throwing it there on the goal line when you have, your all-pro running back and Saquon Barkley, and you need a yard.
yeah. I mean, definitely some Marshawn Lynch. I mean, they gave him some 24 times during the game too. So why not a 25th? We put him back in there off a high ankle sprain, and he gets almost 30 touches. Like, it's crazy. So. Uh, Yeah, it was wild. I mean, on the road, you're not really, tough to get calls in general. Uh, the Bills are, they've kind of, I guess, earned calls. They're one of like the top upper echelon teams in the league, So, yeah, it's tough. It's tough. But the defense definitely showed up. Tyrod, made some things happen, but yeah, I'm very impressed with how the defense played.
Yeah, man. I mean, again, Brian Daboll has some inside info as it pertains to that the inner workings of that offense and parts of that coaching staff. So I'm pretty sure he was definitely locked in. But anyway, we are here to recap week 6, the week that was, or most of the week that was, and obviously we always start with the quarterback position, Greg. And so getting through these quarterback swags. Let's start with the number one quarterback on the week, Tua Tagovailoa, man. 21 of 31, 262 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, uh, 22.5 fantasy points in a game, 42-21 against the Carolina Panthers, with that, which at one point they were losing 14 to nothing. This is where the Dolphins, 14 plus favorites, at home, and you're not expecting this negative game script so early in the game, but yet here they were down 14 nothing. And Tyreek Hill gets a little bit more involved than you would expect him to in a game, and that was closer than I think the 42-21 final score indicates. But Greg, what are your thoughts on the performance here by Tua?
Yeah, Tua pulling, 3 touchdowns, 262, doing a really good performance for him. Yeah, getting into those guys, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, getting into the end zone too. So he's getting a little hot as well. Yeah, it doesn't really, matter the game script there, and they're trying to put up as much points as possible. So this is definitely good to see for, one of the MVP candidates so far this year.
Yes, most definitely. Looking good. Let's move on to the QB2 on the week. A guy I thought was, probably didn't want to play him this week, but here he is, Jared Goff coming in as the QB2, 30 of 44, 353 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, added 3 yards on the ground, 22.4 fantasy points on the day. I mean, loses David Montgomery early in this game as well. So, we see 44 pass attempts here in a game that they pretty much, dominated, winning 20-6,
Mhm.
um, on the road in Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay coming off a bye. Greg, what do you think of the performance here by Jared Goff and the high passing total here?
Yeah, definitely a little surprising. Even in they only put up 20 points, 20-6 win, and he put up 353 and 2 touchdowns. So definitely something there. I think the yards were always a good thing for Jared Goff. He's been playing well pretty much throughout the year, but David Montgomery's been taking away a lot of those touchdowns down by the goal line or in the red zone. So yeah, I mean without his presence there, I guess that passing touchdown total is going to go up.
Yeah, most definitely will. Moving on to the QB3 on the week. Guy, we were there live to see the performance. Jalen Hurts, 28 of 45, 280 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, 8 carries for 47 rushing yards, and a rushing touchdown. Good for 19.9 points on the day. Greg, what do you think on the performance here by Jalen Hurts?
Yeah, it's crazy. He still landed into a top three performance with 3 picks. That just shows the floor that you get with Jalen Hurts. That just shows getting that fluky touchdown in the first quarter, rushing touchdown, and then able to get it still passing touchdown as well. But his rushing, his legs, everything. Even with a mistake performance, he's gonna get you top 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, and he's done what a lot of quarterbacks outside of maybe Dak Prescott have been able to do against the New York Jets, which is, come in here and have a fantasy productive day. I mean, even when you
Mhm.
look at what Patrick Mahomes did, Josh Allen, obviously Mac Jones, no one's playing Mac Jones, Russell Wilson, even, right? So, none of these guys have really been able to have big, big days against the Jets, and Jalen Hurts was able to do that here. So definitely, if I told you that the Jets starting corners were going to be out, you'd probably expect, that he would have a performance like this. But like you said, you weren't expecting, the back-breaking turnovers and for him to still, I mean, those interceptions. If you play in a -2 league, like
Yeah,
that's a
killer.
rushing touchdown worth of interceptions that he had here. So definitely not definitely less than ideal, stat line here for Jalen Hurts. But rounding out the rest of the week, uh, the rest of these quarterbacks, Swags comes in your quarterback stream of the week this week, Greg, for the second week in a row. Sam Howell coming in at 4. Patrick Mahomes coming in at 5, Lamar Jackson 6, Derek Carr 7, Desmond Ritter, my stream of the week coming in at 8. Our quarterback streams of the week coming from the same game, getting it done. My quarterback start of the week, Trevor Lawrence, CJ Stroud coming in at 10, Josh Allen coming in at 11, and then Joe Burrow coming in at 12 with 13.8 points. Not a great day overall for fantasy quarterbacks. And so I don't even think there's anybody worth shouting out as an honorable mention here. But Greg, what did you think of the performances from the quarterbacks this week?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of low scores definitely help a lot of people that hit those hammer those under this week for sure. But yeah, I think the top 12 really did what they had to do. You were better than people that maybe you have in a 12-team league. Like I guess the top guys really separated themselves because there's some high scores and then the drop off is pretty huge. No one hit that 25-point mark. But yeah, shout out to the young quarterback still. Sam Howell, Ritter, Stroud getting all in here. Burrow seems to be back fully. I think just him being able to make things happen.
Yeah, definitely. And he's going into the bye week, Burrow is, so definitely feel like he can get healthier
Yeah,
as the season progresses. But then we got to talk about some of these Jags and with a week where the quarterback 12 scores 13.8 points, there are going to be quite a few Jags in here.
yeah,
Um, you know, Baker Mayfield was somebody. I think early in the week somebody asked me, Jared Goff or Baker Mayfield, and I was like, I think I would go Baker. Didn't go too well here. Um, Kirk Cousins. I mean, the weather in this game was supposedly pretty bad. First game without Justin Jefferson, and he definitely ends up in the Jags outside the top 20. Same with Russell Wilson, who I thought that Russell Wilson could have a top 12 day against Kansas City. That did not go well. Matthew Stafford, your quarterback stream of the week, did finish as your quarterback start of the week did finish as the quarterback 13, but 13.2 points. It was just a low scoring day around the league. Geno Smith also, less than 11 points here. Just not a great day. Like Bryce Young was continuing to do like a Bryce Young type, like fantasy points per game, didn't move his average below or up or down really, and he finishes a quarterback 14, right? So like it's a wild day for
That was
quarterback.
just off one quarter, pretty much. I think they jumped out early in that first quarter, and that was it.
Yeah, most definitely. Or anything else you want to add on the quarterbacks, Greg?
No, I think we can move on.
All right, let's move on to the running backs. And before we get to running backs, we got a question. Milton Man is saying, is Josh Jacobs a sell high? Or Motion Man, sorry, is asking, is Josh Jacobs a sell high? Should I trade Josh Jacobs in a PPR league? I don't think so. I mean, it depends. What are you looking to sell for, right? I don't think he's particularly a sell high. If anything, he's probably a buy low, which
Yeah.
means you'd be selling low, which is not something that you ideally want to do unless there's an absolute need there. But if you have a plethora of running backs and you're trying to upgrade at maybe a wide receiver, or maybe you're trying to get a tight end, that maybe that's a trade that I would look to explore. But other than that, I'm holding on to Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I will hold on to him. I mean, the running back market, I still think he's the RB10 on the year right now. He's still a RB1 in my book. I think he's still going to continue to give you, low in RB1 numbers. And that's a luxury in fantasy. So I would see, unless you're getting something really good back, I think just hold on and keep playing.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's move on to the running back swags on the running back one on the day. My running back start of the week. Raheem Mostert, 17 carries, 115 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 receptions on 3 targets for 17 receiving yards and a touchdown reception, 34.2 PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Raheem Mostert?
Yeah, man, just destroying defenses, doing what he has to do, just continuing his really good season that he has. Probably, best value you got at the running back position by far. Yeah, continuing to put up huge numbers for this high-powered offense.
Yeah, definitely. Just this high octane offense. We've seen Raheem Mostert do this throughout his career. Run at a high yards per carry, 6.8 today, or on Sunday. He's just this offense is a perfect fit for him. Obviously
Mm.
going back to San Francisco when he played in this system, but Mike McDaniel, his play design is like second to none. It feels like. I mean, I don't know if you saw the touchdown, Greg, the touchdown reception he had, but they bring Durham Smythe in like the orbit motion that you would typically use for one of your speedy wide receivers
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill or Jalen Waddle or Braxton Berrios, and they bring him in motion, and everyone's like, well, you're never going to throw that swing pass you're never throwing that swing pass to Durham Smythe. Then they have Raheem Mostert line up in the backfield, and right after the motion, he starts at the snap, starts swinging out in the same direction, and Tua goes to the left, then goes back to the right where Durham Smythe had motioned to, and Raheem Mostert sitting there waiting, and they basically used like Durham Smythe as a lead blocker from orbit motion, and it was like one of the most creative things I had ever seen. So just when you got talent like this and you combine it with the X's and O's like that, you're going to end up with these big performances in these spots that totally just make sense. Like Raheem Mostert against Carolina, that's bad rush defense and team that we like to target against running backs. So definitely adds up.
Yeah, you want any piece? I mean, Salvin Ahmed got some. Jeff Wilson's coming back. You know he's going to get some goal line touchdown. Any piece in this offense seems like they have some value.
Yeah, definitely, man. Let's move on to the RB2 on the day. Travis Etienne Jr., 18 carries, 55 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. Also added 3 catches on 3 targets for 28 receiving yards, 23.3 PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance here by Travis Etienne?
Yeah, he started the day off. Well, not started the day off, but he was able to get things going for his team, and establish the air game for Jacksonville, who destroyed the Colts. Seemed to pretty much own them this year. ETN, yeah, continue to do what he does. It's the reason we haven't heard Tank Bigsby's name is because ETN's been really good. That's all that really comes down to. So ETN is gonna keep balling.
Yeah, definitely. Let's move on to the running back 3 on the day, and that is your start of the week. Kyron Williams, 20 carries, 158 rushing yards,
Whew.
7.9 yards per carry. That's 1 touchdown. No receiving work this week. 21.8 PPR points on the day. Greg, your thoughts on the performance by Kyron Williams, your running back start of the week?
Yeah, he had a great performance actually. Sad that he's able to got hurt with that ankle injury. Reports already come out he's probably going to miss Sunday's game. So it's fortunate he can't build off that momentum. But yeah, it was great that he was able to do what he has to do in this game in a good matchup.
Yeah, fantastic spot here. Fantastic matchup. Fantastic call by you. Seems like Kyron Williams is dealing with an injury, though. Seems like it's an ankle injury. I know we usually do injuries a little bit later in the waiver, in the recap show, but this one kind of hit fresh. Kyron Williams dealing with what looks like an ankle injury, ankle sprain. They're saying it's not, something that's supposed to be long term. Probably going to miss 1 game. It sounds like, uh, and this is the moment where you would say, "Oh, Ronnie Rivers, right? I've been stashing him." Turns out Ronnie
He got hurt
Rivers
too, man. Crazy.
also got hurt. His
When it
ex-
rains,
his
it pours.
injury is sprained MCL, PCL, and it looks like he'll be out about 4 weeks. So currently, I think the Rams have Royce Freeman on the practice squad
And Zach Evans.
and Zach Evans. So this will be interesting to see which direction they go in. Don't really have a strong, not really leaning one way or the other, but uh, I think this is a running back that we probably want to get this one right.
Yeah,
Because if they get 100% of that Kyron Williams work, or even 80% of it, it'll sound really good.
yeah, for sure. It seems like this Rams offense likes to trust one when they do.
Yeah, most definitely. Let's move on to the rest of the running back swags. And the running back 4 on the day, Brees Lightning, RB5, Derrick Henry, 6, Ramondre Stevenson, 7, Kenneth Walker, tying with Zach Moss at 7, DeAndre Swift coming in at 9, Alvin Kamara coming in at 10, Kareem Hunt coming in as the RB11, and then Chuba Hubbard coming in as the running back 12 on the day. Greg, what'd you make of these performances here by some of these running backs here?
Yeah, man. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, definitely great to see him back in here. He had a good matchup. A lot of people expecting he had a bounce back week, so glad to see he came through with that. Zach Moss, man, I'm keep playing this man until the wheels fall off. I think at this point, they're gonna keep easing JT. JT got some big plays, but until they stop using Zach Moss, I see no reason why you can't play him. He's been highly efficient with his rushes and uh, been getting a lot of touchdowns. So keep playing him for sure. And yeah, Kareem Hunt finding his way back in here. It's pretty impressive. And now you're mute.
Oh, I was unmuted the whole time just to mute
Hmm.
myself when I
Hmm.
wanted to talk. That's crazy. Um, yeah, no, it's funny because last week you asked me, Jonathan Taylor, if I was ready yet. And I said I'd have to see it get to 50-50 before I could start projecting that Taylor takes over the backfield. Well, this time it got to 50-50. I mean, Jonathan Taylor had 14 opportunities, eight rushes, 6 targets in the pass game. Zach Moss had 14 opportunities, 7 rushes, and 7 targets in the pass game. So, yeah, I think you could use Zach Moss, but I think we're running out of time there with the at least being a 50-50 split. But to say that Zach Moss is just going to be phased out of this backfield, I think would be kind of crazy, right? Like
Yeah.
you kind of want to lean on these two running backs. Zach Moss has been playing so well.
Yep.
Uh, the running the football, I think, is really what Indianapolis wants to accomplish when they line up on Sundays. So, I would think he has a role regardless. Chuba Hubbard, man. I mean, we've been saying it since like week 2. I think, hey, you got to add this guy. He's playing in a pretty even split with Miles Sanders, and obviously we always talk about the upside if one of these guys gets hurt. And now, Chuba Hubbard essentially has this Carolina backfield which was kind of useless on a as part of a committee. Um, now I think increases the upside of a guy like Chuba Hubbard if he's going to get 20 opportunities to himself.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you gotta have him rostered and have him ready to go as a must start if he's gonna get this type of volume.
Most definitely. And then, yeah, I mean, I think overall it was a solid week for some of these running backs. We did have some injuries that knock some guys probably down or lower off the list than they should have been. But we do have some Jags, man. We got quite a bit of Jags, including one very expensive Jag, Amari DiMarcado. Turns out he was not the guy. Turns out that it was going to be Keontae Ingram, and here's a throwback name for you, Greg, Damian Williams.
Crazy.
What did you think of the situation in Arizona and the Demarcado? The I guess the high expensive Arizona running back. Is there any hope at this point?
Yeah, I think it's more of a wait and see. I mean, when the news about Keontae Ingram possibly being involved, I think that kind of midweek kind of like downgraded his what he was gonna do. Also, the matchup for all the running backs on that team was bad to begin with. So, um, and like particularly like my leagues, I didn't have couldn't start him because it's just the matchup was bad to begin with. But yeah, I would think he's still have to be like a stash at this point, but you're not playing him for starting.
Yeah, I will be completely honest. There's one league where I did sign him via waivers through a fab bid, and I didn't had no intention to start him. Like we could talked about, like especially with the Keontae Ingram stuff, there was like no way I was going to start him,
Yeah.
not knowing what the situation was. And then I saw that they had signed Damian Williams to the from the practice squad to the active roster, and I was like, there's a world where the coaches are like, "Hey, yeah, Damian Williams, you're our starting running back," or you just been on the practice squad because we've seen that before. What was that random Duke Johnson game?
Oh
The
yeah, yeah.
Dolphins signed him from the practice squad, and he
Just
ran for like
balls.
100
Yeah.
yards and like 2 touchdowns or something like that. So I was trying to hit on one of those. So I just picked up Damian Williams and stashed him and DeMarcado on the bench, and was like, all right, let's see what happens. Maybe I have 2/3 of the backfield. Turns out I have, you know, a solid sliver of it with Damian Williams. I dropped DeMarcado this morning for Quentin Johnson. So Quentin Johnson out there on waivers. Josh Palmer groin injury. Just saying, maybe want to go do some things. Before we move on, well, Greg, any other? Well, Rashad White also comes in here as a Jag. Basically that did nothing in that Tampa Bay offense, and then James Cook did get the touches, just didn't lead to too much fantasy production there. Anybody else you want to shout out as just a guy this week, Greg?
No. I think that's about it. Yeah.
Do have some questions. Johnny D. This is a good one, man. Looking for some advice here. Currently, the worst start I've ever had in fantasy, 1-5. But yet, I'm the highest scoring team in my league. Every loss I've had is one random player booming. Johnny D, you want my advice? You do absolutely nothing.
There is no advice for that. That's fantasy comes with some luck. Like it's just and it's baked into fantasy. Uh, I think a significant percentage of it, like you is just being unlucky. Sometimes it's tough. So yeah,
Just keep doing what you're doing. Obviously being the highest team in the league, that's great. Keep don't get complacent. Keep trying to build that roster. Keep working the waiver wire. Uh, just keep trying to find ways to make your team better. But the fact that you're the highest scoring team in the league tells me that you are doing a lot of things right. Like your team is what you've drafted a good team. You're managing a good team. You're starting the right players. It's just simply a matter of you facing some bad luck like Greg was kind of talking about, right? So you have to trust and believe that this tide is going to turn, right? You just got to keep winning some games, and the wins will start to come. Just try to go 1-0 every week, and you'll be in a good place, where when it's all said and done.
I mean yeah. Hopefully your league kind of gives maybe some incentive to points maybe for that last playoff spot, but there is a possibility where the ties won't turn as far as like winning. Like you might as far as head to head with those tiebreakers or just like record. It's tough. Fantasy is unforgiving sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. Again, like Greg said, there is a possibility that tide won't turn, um, and it just comes with the territory. It's you
Yeah.
live you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Braden Winters asking trade Zay Flowers for Josh Jacobs. If this is a PPR league, Greg, are you doing this?
I think for the value, I mean, say Zay Flowers is kind of like a strong wide receiver too, maybe wide receiver one upsides in games for RB1. I consider it. I think.
Yeah, I would consider if you're strong at wide receiver, you need a running back. Um, Zay Flowers for Josh Jacobs is a good deal to make for sure. Um, you know, I, if I have Josh Jacobs, would I trade him for Zay Flowers? I don't think that I would necessarily
No,
do that.
I wouldn't.
Um,
Yeah.
but if you have Zay Flowers and you're looking to acquire Josh Jacobs, I think it's definitely a great start. So, um, all right, let's move on to wide receivers. The wide receiver Swags and the number one wide receiver on the week. Guy who was not foreign to this spot, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 15 targets, which he turned into 12 receptions for 124 receiving yards and a touchdown. That was good for 30.4 PPR points on the day. Greg, what do you think of this performance here by Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Yeah, man. When healthy, again, still one of the most consistent receivers in football. One of the most consistent receivers in fantasy. You love to see it here, man. He's third game so far with at least 100 receiving yards. That's beautiful, and he's only played 5. So you love to see it here. Monra keep plugging it in like must start, man. Set and forget it.
Most definitely a set it and forget it kind of guy. Glad that he's healthy. Missed the game last week, but he was out here balling today for fantasy managers. And moving on to the wide receiver, 2 on the day. My wide receiver start of the week, Adam Thielen, 13 targets, 11 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Good for 28 and a half PPR points on the day. Greg, I asked you a question yesterday. Do you think that anybody that drafted Adam Thielen still has Adam Thielen on their roster? And do you think that anybody that has Adam Thielen on their roster today, this doesn't affect the same question, but they're slightly different, has Adam Thielen on the roster today, drafted him?
Yeah, no, I don't think Adam Thielen was on a lot of rosters after week 1 per se, even after draft day. So whoever made that Sunday morning ad after week 2 or even after week 2 waivers, yeah, this is a blessing. I mean, you're getting a wide receiver one right now. I think he's got a bye week, but after that, he's just going to continue to rake for this team. This is now third game this year with at least 11 receptions and 100 receiving yards. That's crazy. And he's got the touchdown numbers as well, 4 on the year. So he's been really balling so far. He's got to be rest of the season wide receiver one.
Yeah, I'm just really mad at myself for drafting him and dropping him because I drafted him week one. We get 2 targets. I thought he was a great draft pick. We get the 2 targets in week 1, and then I'm like, all right, man. What's the point of investing if you're not going to get more than 2 targets? Drop him. Then goes on to just, he's ever since he's been basically a wide receiver one. Seeing wide receiver one like production. Cole Dixon saying, I got him after week 2 on waivers. See, so that's.
It's after week 2. So you're after week 1, you're like, nope. After week 2 against New Orleans, tough matchup. You're like, all right, yeah, I'll give him a shot because he played really well. And then he just continued to take off.
Yeah, man, it's been crazy. Cole Dixon also saying, I'll drop a sub. You fellas mind answering a fantasy trade question? Drop a sub or not, we're still going to answer the questions, Cole. What do you got? Just drop the question in the chat. We'll get back to you, brother. The wide receiver 3 on the week, Tyreek Hill, 10 targets, 6 receptions, 163 receiving yards, 1 touchdown reception. Greg, did you know that Tyreek Hill is approximately 186 yards shy of 1,000-yard season?
He wanted that 2K, man. They were saying it. He wanted it. Everyone was, maybe laughing at it. Maybe he couldn't get that, but he's gonna get that. I believe in him.
And all of this in a game in which he was, in and out for cramping. So, Craig, what'd you make of the performance here by Tyreek Hill?
Yeah, man, he runs too fast for his own body. I mean, like he's amazing, especially in a comeback game. He's gonna be involved here, so he's gonna continue to be that guy. He's worth that first round pick, I think, for the people that went for him. Wide receiver one in fantasy by far. He's just nuclear. Like when I am lining up, when teams line up against, or if you're playing a Tyreek Hill and you see him in the other team's lineup, you're truly scared. I'm truly scared. So or I just honestly think that this is probably gonna be a loss. So yeah, that's how the impact of Tyreek Hill right now.
Yeah, he's been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's funny, right? Because I was trying to explain to somebody Dynasty and like we're asking me how Dynasty works and what it's like being in a Dynasty league, and they're like, well, what happens when a player changes teams or something? And I was like, well, it impacts their Dynasty value. Like, and I brought up Tyreek Hill as an example, right? Like when he left Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and went to the Dolphins, everyone thought like, well, there goes the end of like Tyreek Hill's upside. Like we're never going to see those boom games from him anymore. And you could have acquired Tyreek Hill on the low, and you could argue that his value has only risen.
Only gotten better, actually. Yeah. Yes, it has.
Oh man. Moving on to the rest of the wide receiver swags. The wide receiver 4 on the day, back like he never left. Cooper Kupp. Wide receiver 5, Drake London. 6, AJ Brown. 7, Stephon Diggs. 8, Michael Pittman Jr. 9, Kendrick Bourne. 10, Rashid Shaheed. 11, Jalen Waddle. And 12, Jacoby Myers, tying with Zay Flowers for that wide receiver 12 spot. Greg, what'd you make of these wide receiver performances, and anybody else you want to shout out while you're here?
Yeah, I think even with a bad QB week, there was some really good wide receiver numbers. Rashid Shaheed, man, just continue to make his way to be a solid sleeper wide receiver so far. Jacoby Myers as well has been a great wide receiver so far this year in fantasy, and he's been very consistent. So glad to see that those guys got in the top 12. And yeah, outside Garrett Wilson and Zay Flowers, those young guys balling.
Yeah, man, Garrett Wilson was out there basically on one leg at one point. Can't believe we fell short, 10 yards short of the Garrett Wilson 100 receiving yards prop. Was really feeling good about that one walking to the
That was
stadium.
really because of health. You can't say anything else. That was just health wise.
And the refs. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
refs, because they did take away that big reception at the end, or not the end, but I think it was in the first half with that blindside block that, that don't even get me started. Anyway, yeah, Drake London came through with a big day as well. Top 5 here, and it was a great matchup against Washington. Rashid Shaheed, like you talked about. Kendrick Bourne, man, I just don't feel like, I don't get why this can't be like
every
like a
week. Yeah, he had a solid week 1, and then, but it's just the offense is just so bad. And when was the last time you was talking about a wide receiver on New England doing well since like Randy Moss? So like, it takes a Hall of Famer to be relevant on this team as a
Hey
wide
man,
receiver.
that's crazy. You was on here talking about Julian Edelman like 2 years
Oh
ago.
yeah, Julian. Yeah. That's right. That's right. Like 4 years ago. He's been retired for 2 years now.
Oh man. All right, let's move on to the wide receiver
Hall of
Jack.
Famer too. It takes a Hall of Famer. Julian Evan. He's gonna be Hall of
Yes.
Famer.
Yes. We shall see about that. I'm still not completely convinced, but we shall see. The wide receiver Jags, man, Devontae Smith couldn't catch a cold out there on Sunday. I think had 6 catches on 11 targets against the Jets. Only had 4 corners active on Sunday, Greg, and I only knew 2 of their names.
Yeah, I'm surprised Sullivan didn't line up out there. That's pretty much, yeah, I was expecting him to do that. They were banged up.
DJ Moore, I mean, we know that Justin Fields had to leave the game with an injury, and that possibly could have impacted his ability to really come through here for us. But definitely not a great day. And then Marquise Brown, man, just when I was waxing poetically about how consistent he's been and how great he's been and how people should not trade him and they should acquire him if they could and not bench him because he's got to be started every week, and he ends up on the Jag list.
Yeah, he still had 11 targets though. So, third straight game with at least 10 targets. So this man's definitely getting the volume.
Yeah, most definitely, and that's what we like. The volume is predictable, and we love that. There, anything else you want to add for the wide receivers? Any other Jags you want to shout out, Greg?
No.
All right, let's see what we got. Cole, did you hit us up with the question? Should I move Aaron Jones rather for Jay Jettas? I'm 4-2, and my wide receivers are CD, D Hop, Terry, and Sutton. LMAO. Running backs are CMC, Mixon, Jones, and Rashad. I don't think you can afford to move a running back.
Well, yeah, with CMC possibly being out for, not sure what the timetable is, but maybe a week. Jones has been hurt all early part of the year already too, though.
He has.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe he's 4-2. Maybe he could survive on it. I would consider it. I think I would.
He says dude is desperate to move, given that Jettas
Yeah.
could be out for more than just 4 weeks. I totally get that. I just was if CMC was healthy, I'd
Yeah.
probably feel a little bit better about this. Joe Mixon's about to go on bye. Rachaad White just came back from bye. So did Aaron Jones. So you might realistically just have Rachaad White as your only healthy running back if you were to make this deal, at least for week 7. I look. It's Cole. It's your team. You could obviously do whatever you like. Greg is over here saying he would do it. I don't know if I could do that deal with that.
I think I will have to wait till that whatever CMC prognosis comes out.
That's fair, right?
Wait for that.
Yeah, and then to make sure you get all your insurance policies in place as it pertains to CMC. All right, Cole. Appreciate the question, man. Let's move on to the tight ends. Tight end Swags, the number 1 tight end on the day. Travis Kelce, 9 targets, 9 receptions, 124 yards against the Denver Broncos, who similarly don't understand that when you play the Chiefs, you probably want to stop the big guy wearing number 87. Not really sure what was going on there. 21.4 PPR points on the day. Greg, what'd you make of this performance here by Travis Kelce?
Yeah, I mean this is what he does. Is Denver Broncos, like all the 31 teams in the league, 30 teams I guess, excluding the Chiefs, definitely know they have to stop this man, but he finds a way to get open. I mean, I think the most asked question in football is why is Travis Kelce open? But the offense just finds a way to get him there, and he just continues to do what he does.
Yeah, agreed. Just out here balling, man, for sure. Um, was looking bleak at the beginning of the year. Hey, man, Travis Kelsey, he got injured. He was a first round pick universally in most leagues now, and I think people were kind of having buyer's remorse there. But yeah, he's looking like his old usual self. All right, let's move on to the tight end 2 on the day. Look, man, welcome to
Hope so.
2023. Dalton Schultz, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 61 receiving yards, and a touchdown, 16.1 PPR points on the day. Greg, you remembered under your breath, so upset. Why don't you explain to the people what it is, the emotions that you are feeling as I read off that Dalton Schultz finishes the tight end 2?
Yeah, man. I mean, after the most pitiful first 3 weeks you could have in fantasy as a tight end, the last 3 weeks have been just excellent for him. I mean, a touchdown in at least 3 straight games now, um, at least 40 yards in each game, back to back last with two 60-yard games as well. So it's crazy how really it took some patience, I guess, from some managers, not me, but for him to show up here, and now he's balling out. He's got the bye next week, but after that, I mean, he's putting up some tight end one numbers.
I could write like a memoir about my 2023 fantasy year between Dalton Schultz, Jake Ferguson, and like Zach Ertz.
And Adam Thielen.
Yeah, Adam Thielen deserves his own personal memoir. This is like just a
Okay.
struggle of like the tight ends.
Yeah, it's just you find them, and then when you need them, they don't. But at the moment you drop them, they just some reason they're helping either someone else or helping the benches. I mean, helping the waivers.
And imagine a person that's like, "Ooh, I dropped, Dalton Schultz, so I could pick up Logan Thomas this week."
Yeah, yeah.
That person is like in pain.
Yeah.
Like they're
The amount
like,
of tight ends got dropped for Logan Thomas this week. Yeah, for sure. In
yeah,
pain.
in
Yeah.
pain. Hopefully they didn't drop this guy because he's the tight end 3 on the week. That is Kyle Pitts. 4 catches, 6 targets, 43 receiving yards, and a touchdown. 14.3 PPR points on the day. Greg, you looked at me with such surprise when I said I started him, and you said, "Huh?" And I was like, "Greg, come on! I'm like the ultimate Kyle Pitts truther. I have to start Kyle Pitts." And yet here we are, tight end 3 on the day.
Yeah, man. First touchdown of the year. Excellent. Love it there. 6 targets on the day. Last 2 games with at least 6 targets. Last week had a season high 11. Seems like, if they are throwing the ball a little bit more, getting both their tight ends involved, it seems like those two are their first options, and then Drake London sprinkling in some work as well. So this passing offense is definitely getting a little more involved. Hopefully we get some consistency now. They have Tampa Bay next week. It's kind of tough, but yeah, hopefully they can get some work going for all these guys.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, there's 2 in a row. That's called heating up. One more, and he's on fire, and we have to start him regardless of what.
Well, yeah, he's always being started. Jonno Smith is the one that should be rostered more, I think, because he's putting up similar numbers and just like a quarter of the percentage.
It's besides the point, Gregory. Rounding out these tight end swags, Kyle Pitts' teammate, Johnny Smith,
Yes, sir.
4. Michael Mayer. We'll talk about that one in a little bit. Evan Ingram coming in at 6, TJ Hawkinson 7, Mark Andrews 8, Bretton Strange 9, Trey McBride 10, Kyle Granson 11, and Darren Waller coming in as the tight end 12. Greg, what'd you make of these top tight end performances here on the day?
Yeah, it's really good performances here. Shout out to Taysom Hill too. He made it in there.
I don't know what he did.
He 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 rushed the ball. He had he had 749 and he had
7 receptions.
Yeah, 7 receptions, 49 yards.
That's a career high.
Yeah. Oh, gotta be. It's gotta be.
Because I'm using fantasy data, and he popped up on the quarterbacks, but he didn't pop up as a tight end.
Yeah, yeah.
So how many fantasy points did he have?
12.26.
Oh, so that would have made him the tight end 5.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, shout out Taysom Hill.
yeah. So shout out to him. Other than that, definitely some strange names in here. Brenton
Haha.
Strange. Brenton Strange in there. Trey McBride is in here. That's very interesting. I mean, him and Zachary still got the same amount of targets, but Trey McBride seemed to do something with them, and that's about it. Yeah, man, it was a weird week for sure.
Michael
As
Mayer,
it always
man.
is. Michael Mayer, though, yeah,
That's the
Michael
one.
Mayer.
That's the one that like sticks out. I mean, look, last week he was a little bit more involved, had 20, I think 20 something receiving yards on 2 or 3 catches. And he's highly drafted rookie tight end, second round pick. I think he was like the 35th, 36th pick in the draft. He when I saw he was getting more involved last week, light bulb instantly went off my head because the Raiders are one of those teams where they have not utilized the tight end all season, and it takes one less tight end, like one less pool out, one less team out of the pool in terms of a streamable, usable tight end to play. And if Michael Mayer is getting involved, again, had 6 targets, 5 receptions for 75 receiving yards, 12 and a half PPR points, like that is a guy I think should probably aggressively be gone after in terms of waiver priorities and things like that if you're looking for a tight end.
Yeah, he's got to be on the list for sure. It's all relative here, and if he's going to get this usage in the draft capitals there, you got to go for him.
Most definitely. Now you highlighted, there was a strange week. Friday was Friday the 13th, so I think it was only right that Brenton Strange comes in
Yes,
here
sir.
as our tight end, our touchdown or not tight end of the week. Uh, Came out 2 catches on 3 targets for 27 receiving yards and 1 touchdown. Because when it came down to it, are you going to catch a touchdown or not? Brenton Strange caught that touchdown and finishes as a top 12 tight end on the day. Anything you want to add to the touchdown or not tight end of the week performance here by Brenton Strange?
No, yeah, I'm just glad he didn't take away from Evan Ingram having a top 12 week as well. So that's all that matters to me.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, the Jags and the Falcons out here having two tight ends in the top 12. How many times can you say that?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess if there's a position to be able to do it at, it's probably tight end because the rest of the league kind of sucks.
yeah. I thought it'd be the Pats that could do that all year, but I mean, they're weird.
They would have to have a functioning offense.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some tight end Jags because there are a couple. I don't know if this is from
Logan
last
Thomas,
week.
man.
Yeah,
Logan Thomas got
Logan
me on
Thomas.
top of his list.
Logan Thomas, top of the list. I mean, it was like 5 minutes left in the game, and I was like, it's like somebody. I think one of our friends was like, "Oh, I need need a Logan Thomas catch." Like, yeah, it's not gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna get that prop on Logan Thomas because it was like 5 minutes left in the game. And he had 1 catch on 2 targets.
Yeah, George Kittle as well. He also had 1 catch day for him as well. 1 catch, 1 yard.
Oh man. Darren Waller finished as the tight end 12. That's not particularly great. Dallas Goedert, who had a great matchup against the Jets, did not come through in the way that we thought he would. Sam Laporta was dealing with the calf. Did have 11 targets in the game, just was only able to convert to 4 catches. And then Tyler Conklin, your start of the week as well. Logan Thomas, my start of the week. But Tyler Conklin came in here, 3 catches on 4 targets for 24 receiving yards. And Dawson Knox, if I told you Dalton Kincaid wasn't going to play and Dawson Knox, was going to have that tight end role to himself, I might think about starting him against the Giants. 3 catches for 17 yards on 6 targets. So not particularly great there. Let's talk about some injuries, and boy, are there quite a few. It almost seemed like every time we turned around, Greg, there was, we're getting a notification somebody was getting injured or this player just left the game. But Denver
Yeah,
tight
big time
end,
names too. Yeah.
yep, started on Thursday. Denver tight end Greg Dulcich, he aggravated his hamstring injury in his Week 6 return, so he's now questionable for Week 7. He was obviously on injured reserve for that hamstring injury, so seems like it'd be a big deal. Tennessee quarterback Ryan Tannehill, he left Sunday's game in London, did not return with what they are calling an ankle injury, so it's definitely something to monitor there. Jacksonville quarterback Trevor Lawrence considered day-to-day. He's questionable for Thursday night football this week against the New Orleans Saints with a knee injury. MRIs came back supposedly negative, but something the Jags are going to monitor. He did finish that game. San Francisco running back Christian McCaffrey, he's questionable for Week 7 with an oblique injury. Did try to return to the game, came back for one play and then immediately left. So definitely something we want to keep an eye on there. San Francisco wide receiver Deebo Samuel, he left Sunday's game and did not return with a shoulder injury. MRI or the X-rays came back negative. Something that they're not believing is particularly serious. So just something to monitor there with Deebo Samuel. David Montgomery, the Detroit Lions running back, who's been a fantasy phenom through the first 5 weeks of the season. He left Sunday's game and did not return with a rib injury. So, and the Bears seem to think that this one might be a little bit more long term here. So, yeah, probably going to be without David Montgomery for a little bit. Chicago quarterback Justin Fields, he left Sunday's game, did not return with a wrist injury. X-rays came back negative, so nothing in there is broken. But there could be some purely speculation, but could be something wrong with potentially his throwing hand here. It was his right wrist, so definitely not great there if there's a sprain or something like that. Las Vegas quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo suffered a back injury and did not return. Believe he had to be taken to the hospital for the back injury as well, if I recall reading that correctly. Uh, Buffalo running back Damian Harris, he left Sunday's game by an ambulance, and it was supposedly a scary situation. He was motionless for a little bit on the field. That we did get word that he did, have all motion in his lower and upper extremities, and I think he did actually leave the hospital, or was discharged from the hospital as well. So it seems like he's all well there. I mean, in terms of good spirits and whatnot. And then Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver Joshua Palmer, he is dealing with a groin injury, was added to the injury report ahead of tonight's game. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, go pick up QJ if possible. And then Deontay Johnson, Pittsburgh wide receiver, he's eligible to return to practice as the Steelers have activated his 21-day practice window, making him eligible to be activated prior to their next game, Week 7 against the LA Rams. And like we talked about with the LA Rams, Kyron Williams is expected to miss one game with an ankle injury, and then his backup Ronnie Rivers is expected to miss multiple weeks with a knee injury there. So, Greg, now all the injuries are out of the way. That was a lot of them. Who are we looking to pick up on waivers starting at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I mean, got to keep it going with Sam Howell, man. He's 38% rostered. I think he's one of the main guys you're looking at for quarterback. And other than that, Derek Carr, I think he's coming off his best week of the season. He's 25% rostered. But, I mean, with Derek Carr, there comes some inconsistencies. But I think this stretch could be good for fantasy managers. He's got Jacksonville, Indy, Chicago, and Minnesota for the next 4. So that's probably the fantasy heaven of defenses to face right now. So I think Derek Carr can give you some boom weeks moving forward.
Nice, definitely like that one there, or all those options. What about running back? What are we doing, especially with some of these injuries that we've got here?
Yeah, to look at some of the injuries first, I think you got to look at Jordan Mason, 6% rostered. Eli Mitchell's 28% rostered. He's rostered more, but I think Jordan Mason is going to be the top guy if CMC is out for a week or more time. I think they see Jordan Mason as the number 2 right now. Eli Mitchell is still kind of a little banged up. I think they'll still be using a little bit of a timeshare together, but Jordan Mason, I think, will get those more valuable catch targets or carries in the red zone and opportunity, especially on a great offense. They both can eat, but I think I'm targeting Jordan Mason more. As far as other injuries, Craig Reynolds, Zach Evans, those names are, for especially those managers of maybe David Montgomery if they want some more depth to add to their team. Because the one game David Montgomery was out, it seemed like they used Gibbs for carries, but Craig Reynolds was also involved in that. Zach Evans is 1% rostered, so he can be a name to pop up for the people that had Ronnie Rivers or even carry, yeah, for the Rams,
Kyron
yeah,
Williams.
Kyron Williams. So yeah, and then as far as running backs that can kind of give you some value more recently, other than Jordan Mason. I think Devin Singletary, he's 13% rostered, had 12 carries on Sunday. I think the poor Dameon Pierce play is kind of starting to pop up more and more. I think Devin Singletary is gonna have some weeks where he can give you some top 30 value. They're gonna start to lean on him a little more, I think, in the coming weeks. Keontae Ingram, he's 20% rostered. Seems like he's gonna be while James Conner's out. Him and then Damian Williams are going to be the running backs that are going to be used in this offense for sure. And lastly, Tajay Spears, I think is still out there. He's 48% rostered. Just another name I think is so you're not in this spot where you're rushing to get the backup and everything like that. So if something was to happen to Derrick Henry, so make sure Tajay Spears is rostered in more leagues.
Yeah, most definitely agree with all those options as well. What about wide receiver? What do we got there?
Wide receiver, my names for that: She Shaheed, 32% rostered. I think I've been a fan of him since last year. You got to keep him especially for deep leagues. He should be rostered in more leagues. But if you're looking for someone that can possibly give you some boom, especially for kick return and punt return leagues, he's out there and he gives some great value back. Jameson Williams, 49% rostered. We saw him pop up to be able to score a touchdown. His targets is still up there. I mean, getting up there a little bit more. I think he had 3 or 4 on Sunday. But the routes from last week and this week are he's running a solid amount of routes. Tyler Boyd, 48% rostered. What Tyler Boyd brings to the table as far as being a player for the team. Bengals on the bye next week, but keep an eye on him. And then the last 2 guys for possibly can give you some rest of season value. I think Wando Robinson is continuing to trend up for the Giants as being the receiver you want to roster. He's 18%, but the last 2 games he's had at least 6 targets, season high 8 yesterday. Yeah, if we can have one receiver pop up on the team and another pass catcher besides Darren Waller to come through, it would be him. And then Quentin Johnson, he's not even a waiver; he's a free agent right now. So make that move if it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. Big proponent of the picking up the player right before the last game. Don't forget those bye week players. Players in Green Bay, players that play for Pittsburgh. Like if Deontay Johnson somehow got dropped because your league doesn't have IR spots or
Yeah, yeah,
short benches. He's a guy. I mean, I know somebody who was able to pick him up off claimed him off waivers last week in anticipation of him getting activated. So go check your leagues. You
yeah.
never
He's
know.
72% rostered. I know for sure that definitely did not start the year at 72%. I'm sure he was much higher than that. So he definitely got dropped in leagues.
Most definitely. All right. Well, that is pretty much all we got for
Oh, shout out to the tight
today.
ends: Dalton Schultz, John Smith, and Michael Mayer. Yes, sir.
I forgot about the tight ends. Here I am slacking, man.
Nah, it's all good. Just throw 3. That's it.
I'm still living off this adrenaline from the Jets' improbable historic win yesterday. So
I know. I
forgive
know.
me. Uh, Greg, do you need any Monday Night Miracles?
I do need a huge Herbert game. I mean, I'm going against Dak in that league. I'm by like 20, but I can see Dak holding a lot. maybe Herbert on off. Also, we have a league where we have Eckler going against Dallas and CeeDee Lamb. We're up 10, I think, but yeah, I'm running heavy for the Chargers tonight. Pretty sure we're heavy. For
Yeah,
the
let's
always
go with
are. Yeah.
Let's go with like Eckler, like 2-3 touchdowns.
Yeah. His success helps us in both ways because hurts Dallas' defense and Eckler's performance as well. So yeah,
most definitely. I still kind of hope the Chargers lose though. Sorry, man. You know, that's what happens when the Jets like are 3-3 and through week 6. Like it makes me feel like there's playoff aspirations. So now I got to start looking at things through like a playoff lens. So like,
I got you.
LA, you got to lose. You got to take this L, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was hyped when Carolina was winning. You know, now I'm looking from the other side. I need Carolina to start winning some games. You know, I can't have the Bears having the first 2 picks in the draft, man. That'd be brutal. That'd be brutal, man. That'd be brutal as a Giants fan.
Oh man, I was really thinking the Giants should have won that game yesterday. It was kind of crazy. But anyway, besides the point, y'all, hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you get whatever you need in this Monday Night Miracle. Hopefully you are after the win. You don't need a Monday Night Miracle. But, you know, whatever you need, we hope you get it. Unless it's against one of us, because then we don't hope you get it.
No.
But, y'all, you know where to catch us. We'll be right back here Wednesday, 3 p.m., breaking down Thursday Night Football. Saints versus the Jags. It's not in London for once. And we'll see y'all on Wednesday. We're also breaking down some 1 p.m. football as well. I think we got a Germany game to break down too.
Yeah, we need to figure out the name, whoever's name is closely related to Germany, because it seems like whoever is in London, Drake London had a big day in London. Derrick Henry, King Henry had a big day in London. So we need to figure out that German name for a big day. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, I was going to work on my projections for week 7, but instead of doing that, I'll just get to, you know, names and nameology and all this other stuff.
Yeah. Patrick Queen also had a good game in London. Just saying.
You might be onto something here.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. Have a good one. We'll catch y'all on Wednesday. Good luck tonight, and we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Yeah.